be located near the top once everything is uploaded, including the video. So without further ado, this was the first tropical cyclone update from the U.S. Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Maximum sustained winds of Tropical Cyclone 4P were 35 knots. The storm is moving toward the east or east-northeast at roughly 10 knots. And you can see the forecast. It does take the center of the storm directly over or just to the north of Samoa, and it takes a sharp curve back toward the southwest after meandering around the islands for at least a day or two, and it misses American Samoa just to the west. However, with a slow rate of speed and the model forecast uncertainty, this part of the forecast is still highly subject to change. But what we are confident about is that eventually there will be a turn back toward the southwest, and that is why interests even in Fiji are advised to keep tabs on this storm. As you can see, based on the forecast intensities, Tropical Cyclone 4P is expected to become quite strong. At least that is the forecast from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. They are forecasting a peak intensity of 100 knots as the storm begins to move away from the Samoan Islands. As we switch sources, this is the latest forecast track from the Fiji Meteorological Service, and Fiji is the official agency for tropical cyclone forecasting across the South Pacific. There really isn't too much in the way of significant differences between the two forecasts. However, the Fiji Meteorological Service is bringing the cyclone directly into Samoa from the west, and this is starting to look like the more likely track forecast based on trends on satellite imagery. In addition, they strengthen the storm into a category analysis. We'll first take a look at the entire southern Pacific using the visible and standard infrared satellite animation as we begin to lose daylight. And you can see two distinct areas of low pressure. We were monitoring this broad low well to the southeast of Samoa. Profile for all of the southwest Pacific. You can see Fiji located toward the bottom left hand of the picture, and you can see Samoa just to the northeast of Fiji, and all throughout the...
Well, it's not too bad yet. We usually have a big puddle in that corner there when we have some serious flooding and a river running down the street. This is currently a Category 2 cyclone, approximately 50 to 60 knots. Power line that has blown down from next door over our fence in the corner here, so we won't be dealing with that right now, but when the storm dies down, we'll sort that one out. I guess their power's out. Thankfully they fixed our power line here just through this year, so it's nice and stable for us at the moment and the power's still on.
Beep beep. Son of a... Look at this car.
Almost.
What's he doing?
Is he being,
wrong way.
Is he being pushed?
I don't know.
He's going the wrong way. You're not in the Philippines, motherfucker.
He must have got pushed the wrong way. Very strong winds out there, man.
Nah, there's a guy standing right now.
Far up.
In its wake, Cyclone Evans brought flash floods and collapsed roads in the Samoan capital.
The public is still receiving advices to remain indoors. Officials have been strict on this one, and evacuees are still at respective evacuation centres across the country, and these are located on higher ground.
Police say a number of children are presumed to have drowned after being swept away in a flooded river. While it appears to be heading out to sea, forecasters say the cyclone's path could reverse and return. Authorities have declared a state of disaster in Samoa as residents there prepare for the worst. But the news could get worse as Cyclone Evan could intensify to a Category 5 storm, and it appears to be heading towards Fiji, where it's expected to make landfall.
Not to take lightly the warning given by authorities.
With winds of more than 300 kilometers an hour expected, the Fijian government says emergency services are on standby and evacuation centers are being prepared.
Fellow Fijians, I cannot stress enough how serious this is. Every Fijian will be affected, but we must take preventive steps now.
The interim Prime Minister has urged residents to secure their properties and to stock up on emergency and essential items. Girish Saulani, ABC News.
West. So we do expect improving conditions overnight, and hopefully by tomorrow people will be able to get outdoors and start the process of cleaning up.
Now, as Evan moves on from Samoa, is Tokelau in the firing line?
The next island group that would be in the firing line will be the Wallis and Futuna group to the west of Samoa. The northern atoll islands of Tonga may see some gusty winds and some swells tomorrow, but we'll probably stay out of the damaging sector of the cyclone. And then, of course, the next country after Wallis and Futuna will be Fiji.
And Neville, do we expect it to intensify and become a Category 5 cyclone when it hits Fiji?
It is expected to intensify. This afternoon it was still a strong Category 3 cyclone. At this stage, it looks like the best estimate will be a Category 4 or a strong Category 3. But it's not out of the realms of possibility. It could be a Category 5. But whatever the case, it does look very likely that by the time it gets to Fiji, it'll be a very destructive cyclone.
Neville Coop, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Stay safe.
Good day to everyone tuning in from the nation of Fiji. This is the latest on Cyclone Evan from 28storms.com/cyclone. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center of the United States will be issuing another advisory on Cyclone Evan within the next hour and a half, but as of the making of this video, Advisory 13 is still the latest advisory, and at this time, maximum sustained winds are still 90 knots. That is a slight weakening compared to 24 hours ago. However, as we will show you in just a second, it looks as though the storm may be starting to organize once again. Based on their latest forecast track, the center of circulation will remain just to the north and just to the west of Fiji. However, interests all across this region can still anticipate very strong winds and the threat of heavy rainfall in the southeast quadrant of the storm. You can also expect gale force winds to begin moving in later tonight, so you want to make those final preparations now. 4 hours, you can see the center of circulation passing very close to Vanuatu, with the eye just to the northwest of those locations. You're going to have very strong northerly winds starting to work its way into the coastline. And all northern and western coastal locations, if you happen to be in an area that is vulnerable to coastal water level rise and storm surge, you may want to go ahead and take advantage of those evacuation shelters that have been listed, because that is where the strongest surge values and the highest winds are going to be. Now, as we fast forward into 36 hours, you can also see that the center of circulation at this time will be making its closest approach to Vanuatu. So again, this entire area is going to be facing some pretty strong northerly and northeasterly winds, so you want to take action now before these stronger winds begin to move in. Also, this is a look at the 24-hour forecast from the European ECMWF model, and as you can see, the forecast over the next 24 and 48 hours from both of these models are rather close to one another now, so this is a high confidence forecast with the center passing very close to the islands, but due to the small margin
and stronger and faster. The rain is pouring in and the trees are being stripped. Everyone is hunkering down, just waiting for it to go.
The noise of the cyclone was something to behold. The wind and rain grew stronger and stronger by the hour, destroying anything in its path. The hurricane-force winds lifted iron off roofs.
Thousands of Australian holidaymakers are toughing it out in Fiji as a powerful storm system blasts through the island nation. Cyclone Evan is bringing high winds and drenching rain. More from Michael Best.
A whiteout of wind and rain. Gusts of more than 200 kilometres an hour were dangerous and damaging. The Category 4 storm tracked down the island nation's western edge. You could see its eye from space and feel its fury in the tourist resorts Fiji relies on. With all flights cancelled, more than 2,000 Australians are stranded, taking shelter in their hotel rooms.
I just basically keep the door open. Don't go out while you can.
Fijians are normally relaxed about cyclones, not this one.
Do you think your house will be okay?
I don't think so. I'm just going to check.
It's not just this wind that's a danger. Cyclonic seas, a storm surge and torrential rain mean low-lying areas are at risk of flooding.
Many have fled to evacuation centres on higher ground. In Momototto village, the church has become a shelter. But even that isn't completely safe.
The only thing we're worried about now is to have the water to rise during the night too.
The cyclonic winds and torrential rain will continue tonight. Fiji's strongest cyclone in 20 years still has a few hours worth of damage to do. In Fiji, Michael Best, 9 News.